say that I think everything we talked about today is like so important and really cool to be able to just be a part of something a little bit bigger and know that we do have a voice. And I think it's kind of hard, like, I don't know who it was that said today, we get kind of caught up in our schoolwork and forget that we do have this like big role and a big job. And it's really, really cool to be a part of, especially now that we get to be in schools and actually see students doing their work and doing things and being a part of that process. It's been really incredible. So another thing we kind of talked about, obviously a lot of collaborations coming out of it and just thinking about going to a classroom. And I think it's more than just being in a classroom. I think being a part of a school and then obviously bigger and part of the school board and school divisions and that kind of thing. But I've seen lots of different schools, and some of them, the administration is very progressive, and I think for us as students at the University of Regina right now, we're very progressive and moving in that direction. And it's super exciting to be a part of, but sometimes when you step into a class or into a school and that's not their focus, it's really it's difficult. And you really want to push forward and you really want to do all these things that we're learning and talking about, and everyone's so hopeful and excited, and so that can be challenging. But there's other schools where you see these administrators that are so progressive and so ready to take all of us on and so ready to move forward with us, which is, I think, the kind of idea of today is this reimagination of education. So I think one of the biggest things for me is just like knowing it's okay sometimes that it's like difficult, and sometimes people have different mindsets or different views, but just always being positive, always bringing this progressive view of things and just talking to your administrators, even if they're not quite there yet, just helping them along that path. Because I think even though they're the administrators, we can still talk to them and show them that we have these new strategies, these new techniques, and these new ideas that are really exciting and they do work. And sometimes it's just a battle getting past that point of, no, you can't do that, it's not going to work, these kids can't do that. Pushing it and being like, just let me try, just let me show you that this can work and this can happen and be really beneficial and really special to see. So that has been such a challenge, but such an amazing thing to be a part of, and it's just so exciting. Yeah.
I really thought this was a good experience with the STF, because a lot of this was like in the future, so 5-10 years from now, reimagining education. And it's important to us because we are the future. We are going to be the teachers in these years. So we had some really good conversations about, one was about like resources, about how we need more Saskatchewan-based ones. I go online to try to find resources, and a lot is from like Alberta and stuff. We also talked about digital literacy, how we need to be teaching them how to use it and applying it, like coding, Patrick talked about. Yeah.
Now, reimagining education is something very important. It is contributing our ideas to the future. And it's the best way of growing and focus on the future. I know the changes that came need adaptation, and the adaptation is to change with time. Technology is something very important, and then such a forum is something that can bring a fresh idea, the future teachers, to the system. And I am thankful coming to us today and then respecting us and getting our idea and putting into the system.
I really appreciate that we have this kind of venue for our voices, reimagining education, because I concur with everybody. It's more about collaboration, not the competitions. Each teacher has a capacity to contribute something that will make the students become more proactive in the future. But I hope it's not only within the classroom setup, within also from school to school. There should be a collaboration, not a competitions, that whose division is much better than the other division. It's more of collaboration. This is Saskatchewan. I agree with you that when it comes that we have to have more resources that will be coming from Saskatchewan, not from the different provinces, because we should know more about what is in Saskatchewan than in other provinces.
People don't like change, and for us it's not change because we're reimagining it, and we have been since day one of being here. So it's awesome to come in and get all of these examples and ideas firsthand, but I also think that it's important that we're going into the schools and educating all teachers and all admins about this. Like, some are already educated, but like getting all of them educated is really important.
The nice thing about this conversation today was that when we come to the university, we come here as students, and we we act in that way. We have classes, we listen, we have assignments and all that. But for this conversation, we were teachers, and we were thinking in terms of being a teacher and formulating our thoughts that way and opinions and having discussions as teachers, not so much as students. And I think that was
aspect of this conversation today that I really appreciated was how, because we're so new, we have these really fresh impressions from being in the classroom, and we're being told to look for the problems, to look for the multiple intelligences, to look for the differentiation, to look for these issues. And so different problems are coming to light. And one of the discussions that we had at my table was about building agency into our students and self-efficacy, because they have everything at their fingertips at all times. They have step-by-step instructions, and they haven't been given the opportunities to be their own individuals, to have independent thoughts and critical reflections, and it's terrifying for them. That's like the number one thing that I have been influenced by in the field, is that this self-efficacy, going forward and taking ownership of your actions and putting those thoughts forward, is not something that our students are comfortable with anymore, and we need to prepare our students to be that kind of person by the end of grade 12. We need to have this knowledge going into the field so that we can build these kinds of opportunities in for our students. And then just backing off the technology talk that we had too, it's a different world now, like a completely different world than even 15 years ago in terms of how immersed we are and integrated we are for technology and how globalized everything is. And if we're not changing the way schools are functioning to reflect our society currently, then our students are learning in an environment that isn't what our society is. So that transition into the real world is going to be absolutely more difficult for them if we're not preparing them for what is actually outside
Something we
of
talked
school.
about today was having more, something we need to maybe implement more in the future in curriculum is just doing more practical lifelong skills. How to properly write a check, how to properly write a letter, sewing, mortgages, cooking, mechanics, all that stuff. So I think that's important.
But one of the things I was
here.
thinking about is that there are a lot of immigration coming in to Saskatchewan, Regina. And then one of the things that's very important is that in classroom you see a lot of EL students struggling with their language. And then there's a teacher that has 28 students in the classroom, and then 5 of them are EL students. So such a challenge is down there, and then we need also to think a way we can reimagine that these students are very essential in life. They will be Canadians, and then they need life, and then they need to challenge with the education system and the curriculum that is there for them. And then, so we need to have a lot of support and a way that we can help them improve in the language. There was one of the speed learning table, it was Google Classroom. The Google Classroom was that teacher is completely running his classroom through Google. So that is amazing. No pencils, no paper. Everything is done through the computer. So that's where we're heading to. And then we need to be prepared such kind of future. And then that's why we're reimagining education. And then I believe the other thing also, which is very important, is hearing the voices of the minority and the immigration.
One thing that made this session made me really think about was we're moving into more inquiry-based learning, more experiential learning, which I truly think is a good thing. However, I have noticed with pre-internship and that type of thing, just the lack of literacy and math literacy, and it worries me. And I don't know if we need to go back to the way things are necessarily done, but I think we need to still, kids still need to learn their multiplication tables and that type of thing, and addition and subtraction. So it worries me that I don't know that they're necessarily picking up on it by inquiry experiential learning. So how can we build that bridge is kind of what made me think of, and I don't know the right answer, but it kind of made me really think of how are we going to do that in the future.
Okay, so this is Carly Clark again. Just like an end thought for myself is that we are talking about how our society is progressing so quickly and how we need to adapt towards that. And just a thought, not even of how we reflect with our students, but ourselves, our role as a teacher, we always talk about being lifelong learners and how we need to constantly be teaching ourselves as technology increases so quickly, we need to be adapting with it. There's so many different tools out there that I don't even know how to use, and I need to teach myself those in order to teach my students, right? So that's just, as I'm a teacher for how many years, I need to be a lifelong learner and continue my learning journey in order to benefit my
I don't
students.
have a teaching background from my original country, but I've known a lot of international or immigrants who are teacher trained, and then when they come here in Canada, they are not able to do the specific job that they work with back home. But I was thinking those are the kind of resources that we need, because they know how to work with that EAL student, and how can we utilize that resources to be able to support local teachers or locally trained teachers, because they don't know how to support that one inside the classroom.